Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Dr. Sass. How are you, doctor?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Cesar?
I'm doing wonderful. Great to have you here. And before we dive in, I want to give our listeners and viewers a little bit of your background, and then we can dive in, okay? Dr. Sass, inspired and enlightened woman who decided to heal their life to real health, peace, love, and happiness. The creator of Awaken Goddess LLC, Dr. Sass guides women from feeling imprisoned to enjoying their freedom, from living egotistically to living consciously, from confusion to clarity, from feeling powerless to feeling powerful. Dr. Sass met her clients where they are at that moment and take them to the end goal of health, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Wow. So I think this is a very interesting topic, and beyond just, women, I think you see this in many different aspects, just really having the ability to awaken from a challenging time or going through some emotional baggage, to having that clarity, to having, all of the things that you worked on. Yet before we dive into that though, I want to know more about you and what is your background? Where are you originally from, and how was your upbringing?
All right. I was originally from Thailand. I was born and raised there. And, I was reading your story, and I remember you said something about having dirt as the ground.
Yes.
as the floor of your house.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I remember as a little kid, growing up in Thailand, third world country. We didn't have much. So I was living there until I was almost 12. And my aunt, my mom's sister, got sponsored by an American couple to go to medical school. And she'd been working on this, I think, since before I was born.
Yeah.
And she got a chance to come to the US and make a living here as a physician. And when she was ready, she sent for us and she applied for a green card and other stuff. And we were able to move here. And I remember at almost 12 years old, I could not speak English. You learn a little bit of English in school, but nothing like being soaked in the culture and the country. And that was difficult. I remember going home, translating every single word of the book. Yeah. And we made it, me, my brother and my sisters, we made it. We graduated with honors. We went on to college. I left home at the age of 18 to go to college, fund my own education, my own life in college. And from then on, actually, I pretty much take the responsibility of my life in my own hand. And after I graduated with a pharmacy degree, I went to join the U.S. Air Force, and I became the U.S. Air Force officer, and got married. And I wanted to give my husband at that time a chance to grow his career. So I left the military, and that was a few years ago, 1998. And now a coach. To make the long story short, I ended that marriage, but during the marriage, it was difficult. We were totally two different people, having different mindset, different outlook in life and everything. But the one thing that I overcame during the marriage was I went back to school and got my doctorate degree. During that time, I also was a breadwinner. So I was working full-time, going to school full-time, 3 years program. Wow. And I wanted to have children. So I was 31 years old then. So I decided, okay, now it's the time to have kids.
Yeah, right.
Let's try, and God answered my wish instantly. So, doing all that and bearing children at the same time, it was a difficult time, but I went through it. I have 2 boys during the whole process, and they are now 20 and 17.
Wow.
And graduated magna cum laude, honors with flying color. Wow. And through that whole time, I also was searching for something. I don't know what I was searching for, but luck would had it that a network marketing company landed on my lap, and I didn't know what it was, but the product really helped me with my chronic back pain. Oh, did I tell you I was bedridden when I had my firstborn child? No. Because of the chronic back pain? That was difficult. But to me, it was just something that you face and that you just do it.
Yeah.
And so with that network marketing, it stimulated my entrepreneurial, mind in me, and it also opened so many doors. I didn't realize there's so many personal growth and other stuff. I thought you just go to school, get a college degree, go to work, have kids, have a house, and
die.
The monopoly home. Right. The American dream, right? That what people think that all life should be. But I found myself through that program, and ever since then, I'm changed to a better. Wow. I found clarity through that process. I started a business during that time. And because I was growing and changing, I was growing this way, and my husband was staying at the same point, and we grew apart. So I left. The divorce was not good.
Yeah.
He didn't want to get a divorce, but I wanted to, because we are 2 different people. So I ended up being a single mom with 2 kids, starting a new business, working full-time as a pharmacist. Talking about a major overcome, that's the one thing in life that I feel like I overcome, that I had to fight for.
Yeah.
But and now fast forward, my kids are 20 and 17, and I built a couple of businesses after that, and met the love of my life, and it took us 7 years to really come together, because luck had it. Yep. God had to throw all kind of curveballs in front of my face. So he was living in Switzerland. He's Swiss, and we were having long distance relationship. He had his own responsibility, his own business. He also had 2 children, and I had my own responsibility. It took us 7 years before we really come together and see each other consistently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's here. He moved here. So
yeah.
we're together.
It really fascinates me, your story, and just listening to that, that there's so many things that are going on in your life, and so many different lessons that, the one thing that I heard you said one of the things is like, you found clarity and you kind of took control of yourself or your life, and you started to doing different things. And maybe want to understand more of that. The other thing too is you talk about how, you have all these different curveballs and things that were being thrown at you, yet you keep pushing forward and you keep going. And whether it was one marriage or second marriage, or it didn't matter how many marriages you went through, you continue to do that. And I think one of the things in the life of entrepreneurs, or even just if you have a good job, right, at the end of the day, I'm not knocking the 9-to-5s. At the end of the day, whatever you do, you have in couples, it happens a lot, right? And I love the way you put it, is that you're growing and then your husband was staying at the same point. And this happens so often where when one or the other is growing and the one that's staying behind, there's two things that can happen. That person either is going to go up and pull you down to their level and you get back to the same place, or they're going to end up staying behind because you're going to say, no, you're not going to pull me down. Either you're going to catch up or we're moving apart. And a lot of people are afraid of moving away from that because the time, the money, the years that have been invested. And so I think there were so many different lessons you talked about within that I'm like very amazed and very interesting to hear all that. For you, what was one of those things though that said, you know what, I got to keep moving forward. I got to keep pushing forward. I got to go out and get my doctorate degree. I got to go out and work, day and night to support my kids, or even before your kids. Like, what was that motivation? What was that one thing driving you?
The motivation factor within me, I think it was seeded in me when I was younger, growing up, seeing my parents work so hard. My mom was, she had 5 jobs at one point, and I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want that for my children. And me, my brother, and my sister, we all have this same mindset where, you just do it. You're thrown in a foreign country, you don't know the language, you take a book out, you take the dictionary out, and then you translate. Your marriage doesn't work, you try to work at it. If it doesn't, then you move on. And that's just it. It's just like the Nike slogan,
just do it.
You just do it.
Yeah,
exactly. I remember during that time I didn't sleep because there's so much to do. I was burning candles at both ends, taking care of the kids. They have to be fed, they have to go to school, soccer, church, the whole 9 yards, right? The American life, we pack so much into our life that we forgot to slow down sometime. And that's how I was. And with all those, I just do it.
Right.
No time to be depressed, no time to be a victim.
And even if you're depressed, sometimes you still gotta do it, right? Like, you can be depressed and be down and laying down or not doing anything, or you can be depressed and grinding and doing it and still getting the work done, right? And
exactly. You're allowed to be human. You're allowed to feel the emotion. I cry. There were times I was like sitting on the floor and I'm like, oh God, please, why this is happening to me? But then what do? I just get up and just do it.
Yeah. So one of the things that obviously your amazing is very empowering, and I love it. I love everything that you're talking about. A lot of things I can kind of relate to that. Again, coming from a different country, not knowing the language, translated. It would be nice if, like, back then when you had phones where you can translate the words, like, you have to get the dictionary, like, hey, give me a second, let me look for the page or the word, right?
Right. My dictionary was this thick, and it's like A, B. You have to flip through the pages.
Yeah, I still have mine here in English to Spanish. It was like interesting. Yeah, I have it. I still have it. I'm like, I can probably sell it at one point. It'll have some value.
Right.
But kind of going through that, one of your major obstacles was really overcoming self-doubt, right? For you, despite the success and the accomplishments, the feeling of I'm not good enough was the subconscious beast that was slaying you, that was pretty much taking over you. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, you see these women, right, on the outside, me included, you wear business suit and you have all this fancy title, doctors, lawyers, and, you name it, CEOs. The one thing that I think most humans have, and especially women, is not being good, not feeling that they're good enough. And the society, the way they portray female, right? You have to be, put your house in order, make your husband happy, and now you have to go to work too, do all that on top of it.
Right.
And there are many times when I have this feeling like, am I a good enough mother? Am I doing the right thing? And definitely when I was going through my first marriage, I was feeling ugly. I was like, we like really not connecting at all. It's not the physical beauty that I'm talking about. It's the soul connection, the beauty of the connection of two soul. We didn't have that. So I was feeling ugly, not good enough, not smart enough, didn't do enough. But on the outside, when we got a divorce, people were like, what happened? You're like this perfect couple.
Yeah.
and I think that is what happening to a lot of people, to most people. And they living together every day, unhappy, and going to work at the same job, unhappy, bitch and complain about it, but too afraid to make a change, too afraid to walk away, whether it be a job or relationship. And I didn't know all that was happening inside me. I think slowly through, oh my gosh, I don't know how many CDs I listened to. Back then it was CDs, and now you can just, download, podcasts, YouTube, right? I listened to so many personal development CDs. I read books. I went to seminars. I go to meeting, and through all that process, I realized, heck, one day I was driving down the highway going to the local hospital that I work at as a pharmacist, and I look up at the sky and I'm like, oh my God, big, gorgeous blue sky. And I thought to myself, I haven't looked at the sky in the longest time. I just put my head down and just do it, and wasn't good enough to take the time to take care of myself. I'm not worth it, right? At that time, it's too expensive. Why do I need to go to a spa, to a salon, to even sleep, right? And I got to thinking, I was like, I have all these degrees. I'm a captain of the U.S. Air Force, doctorate degree, have everything going on for me. I was also running a business at that time. I was a manager, a CEO, not a CEO, a director, assistant director. I hold all those titles, but why am I doing this? Am I feeling that I have to prove something to myself or prove something to others that I'm worth it? And that's when I started to realize I am good enough. I need to start working on self-love and self-care.
Yep.
And that's the one dragon that I slay slowly. And it is a process, and it's a process for most people, if not all. I mean, you don't go from having self-doubt one day to, being this, magnificent goddess. And it took me a while, but hopefully I slay it almost, if not completely.
Yeah. Well, no, I got to tell you, that's very moving and very, very interesting. Is that part of the reason, or was this before, that you created Awaken Goddess, Goddess LLC?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. You know, you ask yourself why you do this. Like Caesar, it's probably the same burning reason why you do this podcast, why
Right.
you do many things you do, why leaders out there do what they do. Is the passion that you have within you. And when you go through all this struggle, you set the journey for yourself, and you accomplish all these things, you slay all these demons and dragons, right? And you just, like, you don't want your journey to go to waste. You're like, somebody got to learn from this. You want to go back there and reach your hand out to the person behind you who want to also reach that goal. Maybe you can make that journey a little bit easier, a little bit more pleasant, and to avoid all those, not all, you know, that's how life is. You face some struggles, but to avoid the big one. And when you come to it, you want to be able to, you know, help those people say, hey, this is what you're facing, and don't worry, I got your back. This is what you do. This is the mindset you put on yourself. And that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So let's talk about what you do. So you do this kind of coaching. You're definitely helping women, you know, deal with a lot of things, a lot of stuff. And thinking about it, you're right. I mean, a lot of times, even women that come from other countries might be seen as minority, right? Might be seen as, you know, even though I believe we're in this society where we're trying not to segregate men versus women and whatever that case may be, you might still see that, you know, in certain places, and specifically people that come from other places, other countries, and try to make a living here. Yet it's also happening with people that are born here. And so how's your coaching consist of? Is it a one-on-one coaching? Is it a group coaching? Is it a couple of weeks? Tell me more about that, your programs.
The program that I have, I actually have an online program right now.
Okay.
It's running for $7.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
I pretty much giving it out for free almost, but you have to spend a little bit to see the worth of it. It go through the steps, the 6 step of self-love, having gratitude, having the right language to yourself, the loving language when you say that I am, and having boundaries, setting your own boundaries, and forgive. That's a biggie. You must forgive and connect with nature. And the one last but the most important thing that I put in that program is meditation. It doesn't need to be, you know, sit cross-legged meditation. Just silent your mind and connect. We are a spiritual being having the human experience, and you need to connect with your higher self, your creator, your God, whatever your belief is. It doesn't need to be a religion. And I think that's the one big thing that a lot of people kind of get away from because of the technology and stuff. So that's the one program that I have that is running right now. In 2022, I'm working on, and it will be ready at the beginning of the year, is the Awaken Goddess program. I would take, actually, you know, this is a personal coaching program. I will only take 10 women because it is personal. It takes time. It takes focus. It takes commitment. And I would take 10 women to go through the Awaken Goddess program. And in this program, I pretty much will guide them to, like what you say in the beginning, to feeling of being imprisoned, just like when I was feeling also when I was in the bad marriage. It just, you feel like you're in prison or in a bad job, and to enjoying your freedom. And that's the one step. The next step is to living egotistically to living consciously knowing who you are, and to live instead of being confused, you have clarity. Clarity of where you're going, clarity of where who you are, and being powerless to powerful. That's the program I have. You're slaying one dragon at a time, right? Having fear, having doubt, having whatever the dragon that may be, we all have a lot. It's the dragon within. It's the enemy within. It's nobody out there that you need to fight.
There's an African proverb that I like a lot, and it says, when there's no enemy within, there's no enemy outside that can do you no harm, right? And so it goes back to that. Once you start dealing with all the demons, all the dragons, whatever that's inside of you, then there's really nothing outside that can harm you. And it's a process, right? And I like the program you have right now, the affirmations and the forgiveness and all that stuff. And a lot of people say, well, I don't want to forgive that person, they were really bad to me. And I always tell people, you're not forgiving them for them, you're forgiving them for you. Like, you asking them or saying I forgive you, it's not for them, it's for you to feel good. Because for all we know, those people may not even be thinking of you anymore. They might have even forgotten you. You got to be able to just let that go and say, you know what? Exactly. I forgive you. Forgive you for whatever took place, whether you harm me or not. I forgive you for myself, right?
Exactly.
Definitely. So I definitely like that program from that perspective. If people want to connect with you, if they want to get a hold of you, how can they find you or find more about the program for next year? See if they might be a good fit for that. How can people connect with you?
I have a website that they can go to. Is www.drsass.us. And they can also email me, sass@drsass.us.
Okay.
Yes, and awesome. I also have an Instagram that people can follow. I didn't realize that Dr. Sass is a common name, or really? Sass is a common name. It took me a long time to get this, but my Instagram, I have to be creative with the name. So it's dr._Sass. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And we'll have all those links for you guys so you guys can connect with Dr. Sass for sure. One of the things that you've mentioned here, and I want you to kind of elaborate more, and you've talked about this already, is for the people that are watching and listening, that they really got to take this with them. And you've given us already so many golden nuggets and so many different things to think about that can help us in our own journey, in our own life, right? You said to have real health, you must focus on all areas of life, but the first thing you must do is believe that you are worth it. The first step to health is self-love. And we talked about that, the idea of you being worth it. We talked about the idea of taking all that, and you're saying that's the first step of health is self-love.
Exactly.
I like the idea when you said, hey, instead of looking down, let me look up the sky. I haven't seen that for a while. Let me go get a massage or a spa or something like that. I would say that people that are in a challenging time in their lives, they tend to just, go in this little ball in their house and just stay hidden from the world or from society. And the last thing they want to do is go out and get an ice cream or go to the movies by themselves or go out on a walk or whatever the case may be. How do we get people to move from that stage to another? What will be one advice that you can give people?
The one advice is, just knowing that you're worth it. And when you know that, you pick yourself up. And sometimes, like you say, people may not feel like picking themselves up. They just want to go into a ball. Find a friend, find a coach. If you don't, it doesn't have to be my program. Anything that will help you educate yourself, arm yourself, put on one armor at a time, forgiveness, gratitude, all these things, one thing at a time. And before you know it, you'll be the goddess, you'll be the warrior of yourself, because, there's no enemy out there.
Right.
It's it's your perception of the world, and the one thing that we need to change is our perception. And I told my son this last week. He was going through some difficult situation, and I said, you know what? You may see this difficult situation in front of you. It may seem dire, it may seem hard, but if you think of it as this situation is present in front of you so you can grow. Mm. You know, it's like a rock is sitting in front of you. How are you going to go beyond the rock? And then you need to become creative, right? Are you going to climb over it? Are you going to walk around it? And, you know, kids this day, they play, you know, video games. Are you going to take machine guns and shoot the rock away?
Right.
But, you know, you do something to go beyond that obstacle. Just get creative and have fun with it. Right. Because the thing that come out from going through this obstacle is the perfect you, the one perfect one that God created.
Right. Yeah, no, I love that. Definitely, I love that, and just gotta be able to go through it. You talked about a lot of self-development that you've gone through your journey, reading, listening, seminars. I'm sure through all of that, you picked up some habits. I'm sure you picked up things that maybe you do on a day-to-day basis. Are there any things you do daily that you must do that help you, you know, through your daily life?
What I must do every day, I read. I read at least 15 to 30 minutes, something motivating. It, you know, I read a lot of books, and every day I pick something that motivates me, that teaches me something. So that's the one thing that I can't go one day without. If it goes too long and I get anxious, I have to do it.
Yeah. Right. Okay, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Dr. Sass, the last question I have for you, for people that might be listening in or watching our show right now, that might be going through any challenge, and you've given us some ideas already. See if I can get one more from you. If they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one thing they can do to start overcoming that challenge?
The one thing that they can do, I believe when people are going through a lot of challenges, they lose that connection with nature. The one thing I say to do it, just go outside and take a walk. And when you take that walk, you look at the sky, you look at the trees, you feel the wind, and you will get that connection with nature, and the answer will come to you. You will feel that peace. And that is one thing that I do a lot with my partner right now. We get up in the morning and we took long walks, and during that walks you have many answers that just come, that given to you.
Yeah.
And you're not alone inside, feeling sad and lonely. And there's, you know, birds and bees and animals around if you know, take a walk in a park, or if you live out in the country. And there are people around. If you live in the city, you won't feel alone if you just get yourself out. Yeah,
and I actually like that. I do that myself too. When I'm not feeling, you know, all in there myself, and you know, I already do. I do this regardless, except when I'm really feeling down, I might go out for like 10 walks. I mean, literally, I'll go out for a lot of walks, right? I already did my walk in the morning, and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I'm gonna go out for another walk, and so I've added more to it too. And maybe people can also do this. Is like, put up some headsets and just listen to some motivating a podcast like this podcast, or listen to
I listened to a few of your podcasts. It's very motivating.
Great, awesome. I love it.
Idea.
Yeah, or listen to some, you know, on YouTube. There's a lot of content with, you know, other speakers and people that talk, or get audiobooks. because again, you might be going through that, and during that moment, you may not be feeling good. I like the idea of going out into the nature, connecting with nature, and then putting this other aspect, because again, by listening to that, sometimes we don't even pay attention. You have this audio on you and you're not paying attention. You might be looking at other stuff, except on the unconscious level, you are, right? Unconsciously, you're reprogramming your mind to take in a lot of that stuff. And you want to take a lot of positive stuff instead of having those negative thoughts in your head. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well,
I love it.
Good. Dr. Sass, anything else that you might want to say before I let you go?
Nope. Just know that in order to have real health, you have to start somewhere, and that start with self-love. Take care of yourself.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you again for being here on the show. I really appreciate you being at the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor, please check out Dr. Sass on her links. Go check out her programs, social media, and share this podcast. Somebody needs to listen to this message, and I'll definitely be looking out for you in the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you, Cesar.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.